My guest today is Mike Murphy, best-selling author, philanthropist, and entrepreneur. His foundation, Love for Margo, has helped hundreds of women with breast cancer living below the poverty line. It exists, by the way, in the memory of his own wife, who ended her 9-year battle with breast cancer at age 38. His book, Love Unfiltered, traces his path running from an alcoholic home to becoming a multimillionaire as president and owner of Oakland Volkswagen, a post he's held the last 2 decades. You ever see this happening in your life, all of this?
No.
No? Did you grow up in Oakland?
No, I grew up in Cincinnati.
Tough childhood, though, huh?
Well, my father's an alcoholic. He came from 2 parents that were alcoholics. Thank God for me. My mother was a saint. And so I kind of had an angel on this shoulder and a little devil on this shoulder. And at the age of 14, I just became very rebellious and
Ran away?
got on a bus in downtown Cincinnati, got off in Lexington, Kentucky with $4 in my pocket and started a career as a runaway and juvenile delinquent.
Go to jail?
A few times.
Alcoholic?
I struggled with every addiction there is and worked my way through them.
How did you lick it? They say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think a lot of it was environment. A lot of it was emotional maturity, you know.
So you don't have the desire to have a drink?
You know, I drink once in a while
Oh, you
today,
do?
but I can control it. I think my biggest problem, you know, in the 80s was the white powder stuff that was everywhere. So I think that brought me to my knees at a very early age, and I got help for that.
I understand there was a mystery man?
Yeah. So I woke up at age 25. I'd walked out on my wife and my 2-month-old daughter a few years before, and I was in a 12-step program, and I had no education, no future, no money, no credit except for bad credit.
Where were you? In what city?
I was in the Bay Area, out in the suburbs, and a friend of mine looked at me and said, you know, you're a total mess and a loser. And I said, yeah, I have to agree with that. And he said, I'd like you to introduce you to this guy that might be able to help you. I don't remember his name, so I call him the mystery man, but I met with him 1 hour a week for 7 weeks. It cost me $50 an hour, which I didn't have. And each week, we would identify something very important in my life, and then we would write it as if it already existed. And then on the 7th week, we recorded all 6 of these intentions in back in those days, of course, a microphone, a cassette player, and then he played in the background on a boombox frequency music that would penetrate the conscious mind, get into the subconscious mind. And so I left there after 7 weeks and $350 with a little cassette tape that I listened to every morning and every night. Everything came true that we identified that I wanted.
How come you never found out who it was?
Oh, you know, I've since gone back and revisited, but the mystery man is a little sexier, with all due respect to him.
So that changed you. Do you still listen to the tape?
Well, I do it in a different way now. You know, it's to me, manifestation and you know, all this Think and Grow Rich stuff, you know, to me it's a very simple process at this point in my life. But in teaching others, I've created an app to help others to do it. And, you know, I think most people spend more time planning what they're going to post on Facebook than they do planning their life, you know. So I'm a big believer in taking a little time to plan out what you really want, you know, and then get it. It's like you started as, you know, you wanted to be on radio. Look what happened. Yeah. But it started as a desire.
We both didn't go to college, right? You ever regret that?
You know, I love learning now. I spend 6 hours a day studying, and I love Google, and I love learning. But, you know, I think the education system, frankly, is a lot of stuff that doesn't mean anything. You memorize, you regurgitate, but you don't learn to critically think. And I think to be successful, you got to use this to think, not use this to memorize and regurgitate.
I've been learning every day.
I love it.
You finished 2 books, Love Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, and you're living.
I've actually finished 3. What happened was,
in color.
Yeah, after my wife passed, I wanted to write. She was just the most amazing woman, and I wanted to write a book to honor her. And in writing that book, I stopped midstream, and I said I have to write my story first. Which I wrote this book, and it came out. This one will be out soon. But people miss the most important part of Love Unfiltered because I'm kind of ADD and all over the place. But I really want them to get this creation frequency and how to tap into the power of the universe, the creator, and just download, you know, like we download a book on our iPhone today, or we turn on the radio and there's Larry King. But to be able to download the wisdom of the universe to create anything that we truly desire in our life. Everything starts with desire.
Where do you get the book?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, we're whatever few bookstores are left.
That's the creation, frequency, and love unfiltered, and living in color.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, was the wife who died, was that the one you left with the daughter?
No, her name was Lisa. I walked out on her when I was 23, and then we got remarried. One of my intentions, my first intention that we wrote with the mystery man was to get her back. And so imagine, here's a woman that hates my guts, wants nothing to do with me. I'd always been able to run away, and then my parents would take me back. Well, I ran away from her, and she didn't take me back, so that was a first. So I had to write out as if it already existed, and when something like this. I love the fact that Lisa and I are so happily married, and our daughter Michelle thrives in this. And she hated my guts, and I listened to this every morning, every night for 3 years. And then after 3 years, she called me up, asked me out on a date. 6 months later, we got remarried and had 3 more children.
But got divorced?
Well, I mean, I had everything I wanted. I'm living in a $4 million house, making a lot of money, 4 wonderful children, coach Little League, speak at the church. I mean, I had the perfect life, right? And this beautiful woman walked into my office to sell me Hispanic television advertising for Telemundo. And for 7 months, we worked together. And she was
You were still married to Lisa?
Yes. And she was married. Her name was Margo. And, we nothing inappropriate happened except for 7 months working together. She was falling in love with me. I didn't realize it. And I was falling in love with her. She didn't realize it. And one day we compared notes, and that was the end of it.
How'd you break it to Lisa?
It was tough. Hardest thing I've ever had to do in my whole life. First, I broke it to her, and then I had to sit her and the 4 kids down. And here was the biggest mistake of my life. And I tell this to everybody, is I wasn't honest. I should have said I met someone, I fell in love. I still love you guys, but I'm leaving. But, like most guys, I lied and said, I just need a break. And, that created more havoc than...
Are you still friendly with Lisa?
Yeah, we just had dinner. One of my son's birthday the other day. We had dinner. Even when Margo was alive, it helped when Lisa got a boyfriend, and then we could all go out together. But yeah, for sure.
Wow, you turned things around.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
So Margo discovered she had cancer when?
Yeah, so we'd been together 9 months, and just one morning we're laying in bed, and I'm holding her, and I just have my right hand on her left breast, and I feel like a golf ball size lump, very hard, like a golf ball as well. And I said, she was 28 years old. I said, hey, what is this? I don't know. Well, you better check it out. Well, she was a huge procrastinator. So 2 months later, same scenario, except now it's bigger. So now we take serious action. Discovered that it was stage 3 malignant breast cancer.
Did she have a mastectomy?
Well, when we went in for the surgery, it was so massive, so big, it was 7 centimeters, so they did 6 months of chemotherapy before they decided to go in for surgery. And even going into surgery, I was kind of messing with her, and I said, I'm going to put an X so they don't cut off the wrong breast. But even going into surgery, they didn't know if they would do a lumpectomy, a single mastectomy, or a double mastectomy. They just did a lumpectomy and removed the tumor. So she was lucky.
But it spread?
Yeah, it had probably already spread at that point, and once it gets in the lymph system, and when they removed 6 lymph nodes, 4 were cancerous. So, it's just a matter of time then.
She died at 38. How did she handle that? She knew she was going to die?
The second book, Living in Color, is really that story. On December 1st, 2010, her oncologist said to her, Margo, the cancer spread to the lining of your brain and the cerebral spinal fluid. If you do nothing, you have 6 weeks to live, and if you treat it, you have 6 months to live. And the story of the book is that opening scene, and it chronicles those 6 months of what she went through, fighting every day for her life, and all the suffering, all the pain. But throughout it all, I was blessed to be able to witness this amazing woman literally transcend suffering and eventually even transcend death. And it's changed my life. I'm working on a new book right now called Death, the Greatest Illusion, because we really can never die.
How did she handle it?
Like, she never once complained. She never once asked why me. She fought every day. She did what she was told to do, and we talked a lot, and she grew a lot, and it was a blessing to be around.
Was she close with your children?
Oh, amazingly close. I tell the story, my oldest, they're programmed to hate her because,
She broke up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? But my oldest said to me, I was programmed to hate her, and within 5 minutes of meeting her, I was in love with her. She really was one of a kind.
So why did you form the foundation?
Well, that's interesting. When Margo died, even though I knew it was coming, you always think you have one more day until you don't. And I was so devastated. I literally couldn't get out of bed for weeks. I was lost. For the first time in my life, I was lost, and didn't know what to do. And a friend called and said that his sister-in-law, Amanda, just moved from Wyoming to the Bay Area because she had stage 4 breast cancer. Amanda was 38. She had 3 young children, and asked if I could help. And I started taking Amanda I took her to our oncologist, and Amanda was a minority. She wasn't married. She didn't have good insurance. And he ordered some tests and some procedures. So I spent 2 months just going with her. And what I noticed was that they treated her differently than Margo was treated. They'd either talk over her head or talk down to her. It just wasn't the same treatment, And what I discovered, there was an injustice. And the final blow was we returned back to our oncologist, and he said, Amanda, the best protocol to extend your life are these 3 chemotherapies simultaneously. Unfortunately, your insurance will only pay for one. That's all I can give you. And I just instinctively said, here's my credit card. You give her whatever she needs. And unbeknownst to me, that was the seed of what is now the Love from Margo Foundation.
Did she get better?
She passed away 18 months after that. And since that time, I've met close to 100 women face-to-face that fight this disease. And what we've been doing until recently is we supply them with a financial grant until they can get back on their feet. What happens is they get ill, they lose their job, so their income goes down and their expenses go up because they got to drive to the doctor and et cetera.
Don't they have Obamacare now?
I don't know what Obamacare does for them, but it's expensive. I know that. It's going up all the time, and I don't think, of all the women I've met with, one has had Obamacare.
And all these women are below the poverty level?
Yeah, so we make sure they're below the poverty line level. We've also supported another wonderful foundation in San Francisco called the Shanti Project. In fact, it was the first HIV/AIDS foundation in the world. But they went into breast cancer in 2000. So I gave them a large donation, and they renamed their breast cancer program in San Francisco called the Margo Murphy Women's Breast Cancer Program. So through them, we help hundreds of more people, but I prefer the one-on-one for me.
She was gorgeous.
She's a beautiful woman.
You had a picture of Margo. How do people help the foundation?
Well, I'm not good at raising money. I don't ask for donations very well, but if we have a website, www.lovefrommargo.com. We would love to get, every dime that we get goes directly to one of our clients. I pay all the overhead. I do all the work myself. So it's about as pure as you can get.
Lovefrommargo.com. How do you find the people you help?
Well, we work with the county hospital in Oakland, so of course those women are amazingly poor and broken. We also have other common type of organizations, but they don't give financial grants. Very few, if any, foundations in the world give cash. Okay, we'll pay someone's rent, we'll pay to move them, whatever it takes, we'll give them money. No one does that. That's their biggest need. And in India, in Palm Springs, I had a dealership, and my wife and I lived there, so I actually got to name a street after her down there. And so in India, I'll go down there, and mostly Hispanic women there, and their story is just horrendous. They came here to either clean our hotel rooms or pick our produce. They're exposed to all these chemicals, and they don't have insurance. So the first thing the state does is gives them 18 months worth of medical insurance. And the first thing they do, which they don't need to do, is they cut off both breasts. So that guy can make money. Next thing they do is they put a port right here so they can fill it with poison. So that guy can make money. Then when they're all done, they put them in this big machine that General Electric makes, and they radiate the hell out of them. So that guy can make money. And then 18 months later, they say, well, we've deformed your body and we've ruined your immune system, but your insurance is over. Good luck. So those are the ones that break my heart the most. So now we're switching gears. So now I provide juicing machines and water purifiers and organic vegetables and teach them how they can beat this disease.
You have land in Colombia to grow organic fruits?
I just bought a house in Colombia, and I'm going to buy agriculture there, and we're going to start growing organic vegetables, and we're going to make a highly concentrated soup to give to our clients.
Why do you do all this?
Through Amanda, I saw such a great injustice. There's a great injustice in the criminal defense world, and there's a great injustice in medicine. And, Martin Luther King said an injustice anywhere is an insult to justice everywhere. And I feel compelled. And the blessing that I've received is I can't even talk about it.
So you've gotten rewards from this.
It's changed my heart and my soul and my destiny, like, you know. But Margo was an amazing woman, and she was all about love, and love is the real power on this planet.
A couple of other things. How did Volkswagen start in your life? How did you become a car dealer?
Oh, that's an interesting story. I started washing dishes at age 15, and using the power of manifestation, I manifested my own restaurant at age 24. But I still had a few bad habits I hadn't kicked, so I lost that at 25. And I actually put myself into a treatment center for 3 weeks, and I came out of it with no money and saw an ad in the paper to sell cars, and I started selling cars and got some lucky breaks along the way.
How did you come to own a dealership?
You know, someone heard about me. I would become a general manager after a few years, and somebody told somebody about me, and they were in bankruptcy. And they called me up and they said, if you get us out of bankruptcy, we'll give you 25% of this dealership. So after 11 months, I was able to get them out of bankruptcy.
So Volkswagen owned 75% and you own 25%?
No, that was in 1990. That was a Chevy store. Since then, I've probably owned a dozen car dealerships. I've sold the last couple. I'm just down to the VW store because I have 2 sons that work there. But that's not my life anymore.
But you own it?
Yeah, that's correct.
And the 2 sons work there?
That's correct.
But you don't go there every day?
If I do, I don't do anything as far as the car dealerships. I have great people there. So I work on the foundation. I run the foundation out of there. So that's a little strange for the clients that show up with, you know, looking for some money to help them with their cancer, going to a Volkswagen dealership. But that's my only role there.
Are the Germans easy to deal with?
What do you think?
I would guess tough.
Well, you know, I'm half German. My mother was German, so I love German people. But they're tough, but they're great engineers and they build a great car. And what's great about Volkswagen, you know, they own Porsche, Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini. So imagine the engineers, the brain power that they have. So
You only sell Volkswagens now?
that's correct.
How good is the business? I mean, the economy affects it, of course.
Well, of course. And right now the business is good, and they say the economy is good, so we'll believe them. But the truth of the matter is it's a very cyclical business. You know, they used to, you know, 1 out of 5 people used to be employed because of the car business. If you think about gas stations, tires, I mean, it drives the economy. So we're going to sell 17 million cars this year. After the recession, 08, 09, we sold 10 million. So imagine that growth. So the economy, I mean, for the car business really does kind of drive the economy, or vice versa.
Now, what do you make of all the innovations? Self-driving. What do you make of cars that park themselves?
Well, I've done that. That's useful at times. I don't know about the self-driving thing. I'm not sure I have that.
I'm not sure I'd get in a car.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Is Volkswagen working on that?
They've done the electrical thing. I would imagine they are, but I don't know.
What do you make of Tesla?
I don't know how that stock price ever got that high.
It's a wonderful car, though.
It's a great car. I'd love to own one. I've driven one. It's a great car. I would short the stock.
Because?
I just don't think it has staying power. I don't think there's enough volume there. See, he went outside the norm. He doesn't have guys like me. He doesn't have franchise car dealers. So he's got it from A to Z. So he owns all the brick and mortar, and he's got to support a lot of people, and it's a tough business.
Isn't it hard not to be in it if you love cars? I mean, to go into the dealership every day and work on the foundation?
Yeah, I'm not that big into cars. I've always been into people, and I've been into wanting to create wealth and success. So cars was just a vehicle. You know, I think I could have done it with anything.
Your passion then is the foundation? Your passion is helping people?
Yeah, and also writing. I just wrote a piece. It's been 4 years just recently since my wife passed, and I just wrote a nice piece on surviving a great loss. And I must have got, you know, it's 100, just on Facebook, 100 strangers respond to how much it helped them. So, I mean, really my life today is about helping people. We've put 3 kids through heroin addiction treatment. So, you know, where there's a need, I just try to help. If something shows up in my life and I feel I can help, I want to do that.
Finally, what's the one tip you would give to someone who's just suffered a loss?
Cry and cry and cry. Let it out. Don't try to hide and run and hide. Be there. Be honest. Talk about the person as much as you can without boring people or offending them. And just be sad. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay. I must have cried 100 times a day. And just go through it. And I found, you know, writing helped me get through it. But cry, be sad, and have faith there will be a brighter day someday, because there will be.
You're an amazing guy.
No, thank you.
Check out his books, Love Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Living in Color. The foundation is Love from Margo, and you can go to lovefrommargo.com. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I want to thank my guest, Mike Murphy, for joining us.